Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and this is the Breaker Bulletin for August 21st, 2023. All right, so there is a lot going on. So there's a lot to cover in this video. Before I get into everything going on, please like, subscribe, and if possible, watch the video all the way to the end. Use 1.5x if you have to, but that is really helpful in the algorithms. Additionally, if you want to support Breaker Press Games, there's even more t-shirts coming. I've got a shipment of t-shirts that will be arriving at the end of this week. They're Precipice of Corruption t-shirts again as well. Yeah, there's other stuff that you can pick up, like going to the website and picking up a Cleft in the Mangled Hills or one of our pamphlets or a bunch of other stuff. And you can go to the Breaker Press Games website. You can go to Goodman Games website. They have both PDFs and physical copies of things. You can go to DriveThruRPG, itch.io, Noble Knight Games, and Exalted Funeral. Everybody's got Breaker Press stuff. So please support if you can. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, Cleft in the Mangled Hills. At this point, almost all the copies have shipped. There are 8 people that are waiting for their stuff for various reasons. I've got a couple of people that I just need to fill out the customs form. There's a couple of people that there's conflicts with the address. And then I've got a friend of mine that I'm shipping some other cool stuff to. And so I've got to get that all together, because one of the things that I'm shipping him is big and awkward and doesn't fit in any of the boxes that I have. But those are the 8 that are waiting, and so some of the people that were part of the people that are waiting was because there was some logistics issues with I needed to reprint some stuff, and I'm going to talk about that more under Protectorate of Genulane. But for all intents and purposes, Cleft in the Mangled Hills is done. And so we don't have to think about it anymore until I do a new version of it or something. I don't know. It's a I am so proud of that adventure. It's a fantastic adventure. If you did not back that Kickstarter, go to any of the sources that I mentioned and pick that up. I'll put a video right here that tells you all about it. Okay. So let's talk about Protectorate of Genulane, and there's a bunch to talk about. So I was doing some calculations, and I needed to figure out, because I'm not really good with logistics. I'll be 100% honest. ADHD, you have problems with executive function, and one of those things is me being like, I just eyeball things. And so one of the things that I discovered as I was shipping Cleft in the Mangled Hills was that I was running out of everything, and I had to reprint a bunch of stuff. And as it turns out, Protectorate of Genulane, Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, and Sorcerous Rites of the Elements, I was looking at things, and I'm like, oh wow, I have 1,076 items that I need to ship between those 3 Kickstarters and all of the add-ons. And that doesn't even include Protectorate decks, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But so that then put me on a tangent today where I had to, I calculated everything that I need to have, and things that I need to reprint in order to ship all of this stuff. And I also broke out, okay, what do I need to have reprinted immediately in order to ship Protectorate of Genulane versus what are the things that need to be reprinted for Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise and Sorcerous Rites of the Elements. So I have a list of not just what I need, but the priority of timing of all of those things. So yay me. I know a lot of people don't struggle with stuff like that. I do. So that being said, let's talk about the successes with Protectorate of Genulane. So first and foremost, this box of 100 Protectorate decks is here. And so what is in the Protectorate deck? So early versions that I showed, the most important part of the Protectorate deck was the icons for the different encounters that you walk along the path of the Valorous, and you know what thing you're going towards by choosing between two different icons at every waystone. Every waystone has two icons, and so this is a very handy thing. The adventure actually explains how to do it with a poker deck, but it's much easier if you have these cards, and much more thematic. So that being said, each sheet has 18 cards, and there are 12 different encounters, and so what to do with the last 6 cards. And originally, when I showed versions of it, I included NPC art, but I have other plans for doing like an NPC deck of a bunch of different NPCs from Stennard. So instead, I decided to include some monster art, and so there is fantastic pieces from Carlos Castillo and Francesco Accordi, so monsters that you can encounter in the Protectorate of Genuine along the path of the Valorous. I printed 100 of these decks. There were 56 people that pledged for the decks, so there will be others remaining if you've got FOMO and you're like, I need that deck. There will be some left over after everything is shipped. So what else? What else do I need to tell you about Protector of Genuine? So between having to, the cards are here, awesome. I had, as it turns out, there was more maps that needed to be drawn. I cranked out a bunch of maps. Every single one of the encounters just about in the Path of the Valorous has its own encounter map. And I was getting to the end of the layout, and I was like, oh, I haven't finished the tower maps, and so I've been working on the tower itself. I did post to Twitter that I was deciding between 2 different textures, and got a bunch of opinions, and probably will disregard those and go with what feels right to me, because really that's how I do things. So Protector of Genuine, it's running a little bit further behind again, I know, but it should go to print by the end of this month or right around there. It is just about done. I just need to push some things around with the new maps and what have you, but we're getting there. It's just about there. I'm acquiring everything in order to ship everything all out at once and go into that like 2-week stretch where I'm just like hammering on shipping stuff out. And so expect that to take place, going for end of August would be wishful thinking at this point, since there's 10 days left to August. I'm going to say it'll start shipping at the beginning of September. So that being said, let's talk about what other stuff is going on. So some of you backed Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, and so stuff to show off. So these maps, and there's actually 3 different maps here, were additional encounters that were added after the Kickstarter. I wanted to bulk it out instead of it being like just like a very like prescriptive boss fight, which is very similar to Desperation of the Hungry, and that's how I traditionally ran it. I wanted to bulk it out with some cool point crawl type stuff, and I got to play test these encounters with my gaming group across 2 sessions, and I am very happy with how everything is coming together. So Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise, as of right now, everything is going that it's going to be on track to be finished by the end of September and ship out and arrive to people by Halloween. That is the goal. That is the dream, and I think that's realistic. I think that's a realistic one. And then Sorceress Rites of the Elements. So that Kickstarter finished a couple of weeks ago, or I should say a week ago, roughly. And it takes 2 weeks for the money to ship, and then an additional 3 days for it to go from to my bank account to actually being in my bank account. So to my bank and then to my bank account. So it's actually a 17-day process. And so that's going to have the money arriving into my account on the 30th, August 30th. I'm already in the process, both with Tragedy at Woodruff Rise. I'm about to commission a bunch of art because I want to do a different cover that is the cover that I used in the Kickstarter was what's the term? Not commission art, stock art. Stock art from Carlos Castillo, very much in theme, but I want to have like an actual like commissioned cover, a unique cover that's not going to accidentally appear on some other person's product. And so I'm commissioning a cover along with some additional pieces for Tragedy at Woodruff Rise. Sorcerer's Rites of the Elements, because all of the or almost all of the spells are already written. I just need to commission some art for different icons and things that will fill up, be space fillers, as well as I mean, the cover's already done, so that book is going to probably ship ahead of schedule. It won't jump the line of anything, but I expect that to ship in November probably, instead of December as advertised. I can occasionally get something done ahead of schedule. Go me. So that being said, did I miss anything in that? Oh, let's talk about Patreon. So Patreon, I had a bit of a mental distraction this month, because that happens. ADHD. I know I say that a lot. It's a thing. But let's talk about Patreon reward for August. So the Patreon reward for August got delayed. When I would normally be finishing up the writing of the Patreon reward for August, I was shipping Cleft in the Mangled Hills, and then there were some logistics issues, yada yada, and I had notes written in my notebook, because one of my players wanted to go from farmstead to farmstead to try and get the town of Stennard, all of the people in the outlying farmsteads, to come together and get some sort of consensus as what needs to be done to save Stennard. It was a ridiculous request and exercise for my brain. Of course, when we actually had the session where that was supposed to take place, they didn't go to any of the farmsteads, aforementioned farmsteads, but I had generated 16 to 20 farmsteads, and names, what they farm, the number of siblings or children or what have you that they have, etc. And so the August reward is going to be very similar to Around the Common Fire. It will be a chart broken down in terms of alignment of 12 different farmsteads, and each of them will have a plot hook, a thing that if a PC goes up to that farmstead and talks to that family, there'll be something that they can go and latch into. So for those of you that don't mind improvising a little, or you want an additional hook to lead to another adventure, this is going to be suitable for that. And then this side of it will have a bunch of little maps of different shapes of houses, so you can be like, this is what this person's house looks like, and this is what this person's house looks like. And so I'm really looking forward to getting that done. That will finish. I will finish that up this week. The writing portion is almost done. I just need to draw a bunch of little houses, which those go quick. So that being said, but the brain vacation, the thing that got me distracted. So on Reddit, there is a fantastic little thread where somebody likes the Outlier, the Icon Bearer, and the Bruiser enough that they created character record sheets for each of those classes. And so I will link that in the description, in the doobly-doo, so that if you want to have a character record sheet for any of those character classes, those exist. and I really appreciate, I think it was Eatin' Cheetos that made those. I hope I got that right. But to the person that made those, you are awesome, and I really appreciate you doing that. So go check those out. And there was another thread talking about, there was an appreciation thread of my classes, which made me so happy. And something came up in the comments where a couple of people were like, I'd like to see your take on a bard. And so my brain immediately was like, tangent. And I got sucked in. I did a first draft. Luckily, classes go really quickly for me. But I had a first draft and then got some feedback and then did a second draft. And that's the artless second draft is actually both drafts technically are available on Patreon. But that is going to be the Patreon reward for September, will be the Balladeer class. And so it'll have a cool little class guide. But my take on the ballad on the bard is a magicless bard. It's all about singing and inspiration and thief abilities, because though some people complained about some of the thief abilities when I was discussing it, if you ever ran in starving artist circles, you just know. That's kind of part of the deal. And so as somebody was a musician who toured and what have you for 20 years on and off, there are things that I believe are part of the bard class that should be there that are not generally there. And so they're there in my version. So look forward to the Balladeer coming in September on Patreon, and then it'll be generally available to everybody in either late September or August. So that should be no, there's even more to talk about. Other things. The end of this year, you're going to see one more Kickstarter before the end of the year. Standard Courier Volume 2. So Standard Courier, this is probably the book that I use more than any other when running games. My open table campaign is now 22 sessions deep, technically more because there's been side quest sessions. But the book that I consult every session is this book. Now, as it turns out, you don't know this, but that map takes up one page of this. It's only half the map. And so there are a bunch of additional locations that exist in Standard that you have, if you're on Patreon, you have seen bits and pieces. If you own the Coin Swallower, bits and pieces. But yeah, there is more to Standard than what is in this zine. And the reason why it was called Volume 1 is because they're, in my great scheme of things, planned on there being a Volume 2 and a Volume 3. Volume 2 is going to come before the end of the year. In fact, it would have come a lot sooner, but I was waiting to see if my portrait guy was going to... He's been on an art hiatus, and I was waiting to see if he was going to come back. And yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to come back soon. And I've started working with other artists over time, and I am confident that I have got other people in the wings that can handle the portraits. So, Standard Courier Volume 2, that will be the last Kickstarter of the year. Going forward into 2024, Goodman Games has been expanding, and they are looking at seeing some of the third-party publishers expand. And I'm hoping that I am able to expand along with them. And so things that I'm looking at for 2024 are things like a deluxe edition of Precipice of Corruption, and some other stuff that needs to be reprinted and possibly expanded. So that is what we are looking at for the future. If you made it to the end of this video, wow, this got long, almost 20 minutes. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I love you all. You guys have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you all soon.